Today we are going to discuss the type of chemical reaction. During a chemical reaction, atoms of one element do not change into other elements. So what's happened? The atom also does not disappear from the mixture, or it appears from elsewhere. So actually, in a chemical reaction involve the breaking and making of bonds between two atoms to form new substances. So what's happened? When a chemical reaction occurs, the bond between the two atoms breaks so that a new substances can be formed. On this basis, if we see, there are thousands types of chemical reactions, but there are four basic types of chemical reactions which we are going to study today. The first one is combination reaction. It is also known as synthesis reaction. The second one is decomposition reaction, also known as analysis reaction. Third one is displacement reaction, or known as substitution reaction. The fourth one is double displacement reaction, or known as the metathesis reaction. Along with the four types, we will study another types of chemical reaction, that is called oxidation and reduction, also known as the redox reaction. So let's first discuss it one by one. We will start from the combination reaction or the synthesis reaction. So in a combination reaction, as you can see in the picture, two or more chemical species combine to form a more complex product. This is called as a combination reaction. Why? Because here the two chemicals combine to produce another chemical. So that is why it is known as a combination reaction or called as a synthesis reaction. So we will focus on an example how the calcium oxide react vigorously with water to produce the slaked lime, also known as calcium hydroxide, by releasing a large amount of heat. In this reaction, from the equation you can see that calcium oxide and water combine to form a single product known as calcium hydroxide. Such a reaction with a single product formed from two or more reactants is known as a combination reaction. An interesting fact to know that a solution of the slaked lime produced by the above reaction is used for whitewashing walls. Calcium hydroxide reacts slowly with the carbon dioxide in the air to form a thin layer of calcium carbonate on the wall. Calcium carbonate is formed after 2 to 3 days of the whitewashing that gives a shiny finish to the wall. It is interesting to note that the chemical formula of marble is also CaCO3. You can see the equation. One combination reaction is two elements combining to form a compound. Solid sodium metal reacts with chlorine gas to produce solid sodium chloride. As you can see from the reaction, the sodium is combined with chlorine to produce a solid sodium chloride. So now let us discuss few more examples of combination reaction. The first one is the burning of coal. How the burning of coal gives rise to CO2, known as carbon dioxide. Second, the formation of water, that from hydrogen and oxygen. How the hydrogen and oxygen mix to form the water. So these are some examples of a combination reaction. So from the above reaction, we can observe that From every reaction, a large amount of heat is evolved. This makes the reaction mixture warm. A reaction in which the heat is released with the formation of the product. These types of reactions are known as exothermic chemical reactions. Remember, exothermic chemical reactions are the reactions which involve in the releasing of the heat. It is to note that most of the combination reactions are exothermic in nature, but all the exothermic reaction may not be a combination reaction. This thing you have to remember, that most of the combination reactions are exothermic, but exothermic reactions may or may not be a combination reaction. So let us discuss some other example of the exothermic reaction. First one is the burning of natural gas. You can see from the equation how it produces the heat. Second one, the respiration that occurs in our body is also a type of exothermic process. We all know that we need energy to stay alive. So, to get the energy from the food we eat, during digestion, food is broken into simpler substances. For example, rice, potato, bread that contain some carbohydrate. These carbohydrates are broken down to form glucose. This glucose combines with oxygen in the cells of our body and provide the energy. The special name of the reaction is respiration. You have studied in the lower classes what is respiration and what is the importance of the respiration. You can remind yourself what is respiration. Here you should remember that respiration is also a type of exothermic reaction because it releases the energy. Similarly, the decomposition of the vegetable matters into compost is also one example of the exothermic reaction. Now we will discuss about the decomposition reaction, or known as the analysis reaction. From this figure you can see it is an experiment of heating the boiling tube containing crystal of ferrous sulfate and of smelling the odor. So here you will notice that a green color of ferrous sulfate crystal has changed. You can also smell the characteristic of the odor of burning sulfur. When you conduct this experiment in the lab, you can smell the odor of the burning sulfur, how it has changed. So in this reaction, you can see the reaction in the equation. So in this reaction you can observe that a single reactant break down to give simpler product. You can see in the equation that how a simple substance has been break down to give simpler product. So these types of reactions are known as the decomposition reaction. Here the ferrous sulfate crystals lose water when heated and the color of the crystal changes. It then decomposes to ferric oxide and sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. The ferric oxide is a solid while the sulfur trioxide and the sulfur trioxide are the gases. So this is a decomposition reaction. You understood? In other words, we can also say that in a decomposition reaction, a compound is broken into simpler chemical species. So in a decomposition reaction, a compound breaks to form smaller chemical species. It is the opposite of the previous reaction we have studied. So in decomposition of chemical carbonate to calcium oxide and carbon dioxide on heating, is an important decomposition reaction that is used in various industries. So decomposition of calcium carbonate to calcium oxide and calcium carbon dioxide on heating is an important decomposition reaction used in various industries. Calcium oxide is called as the lime or quick lime. It has many uses. One is the manufacture of the cement. The cement which is used for making buildings. When a decomposition reaction is carried out by heating, it is called as the thermal decomposition. So what is thermal decomposition? When the decomposition reaction is carried out by heating, this is called as a thermal decomposition. You can see from the given equation how the quick lime is formed from the reaction. Here you can see another example of the thermal decomposition reaction, that is the heating of the lead nitrate and the emission of the nitrogen dioxide. In this reaction, you will observe the emission of the brown fumes. These fumes are of nitrogen dioxide. The reaction is like that. The lead nitrate in the presence of heat gives to the lead oxide nitrogen and oxygen dioxide. So you can see that to carry out this reaction, heat is necessary. So that is why it is in a category of the thermal decomposition reaction. So you can now know why the word thermal has been used. The thermal has been used to indicate the involvement of the heat in this reaction. Here is another example of a decomposition reaction, a thermal decomposition reaction. You will see that a white silver chloride turns gray in sunlight. This is because of the decomposition of silver chloride into silver and chlorine by the effect of the light. So if you place some silver chloride on sunlight, then the silver chloride will turn into silver and chlorine by the effect of the light. This is also an example of a thermal decomposition reaction. The last reactions is used in black and white photography. So you are wondering that what forms of energy is causing this decomposition reaction. So we have seen that the decomposition reaction require energy. Okay, so either in the form of light, heat or electricity for breaking down of the reactant. It is the opposite of the previous reaction we have studied, where energy has been evolved. Here the energy has been involved. So reaction in which the energy is absorbed, these types of reactions are known as endothermic reaction. So what is endothermic reaction? The reaction in which the energy is absorbed is known as the endothermic reaction. So decomposition reactions are also an example of the endothermic reaction. Another well-known example of a decomposition reaction is the electrolysis of the water. How the water is get electrolysis to produce hydrogen and oxygen. You know, water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. It can be electrolysis by the process of decomposition reaction to produce hydrogen and oxygen. So how it occurs, we will see in a video, and the next video I will discuss the next 3 types of reaction.